If I'm being honest, I don't love these. Ladies and gents, 2022 Toyota GR86 Premium. For those who have been following the channel, you know that I had a 2286 Base that I traded in earlier this year for my Amira. And the question is today, do I regret that decision? Do I miss this car? Because it is a fantastic vehicle. This one has been tastefully modified. As always, mod list down in the description. So we got Stoptech front rotors, Centric rear rotors with G-loc pads, SPC camber bolts in the front, and SPC lower control arms in the rear. That's given us 1.5 degrees of negative camber in the front, 1.4 degrees in the rear. Owner said he's probably going to add the crash bolts as well to get a little bit more front camber. And this car would be all set for street class and 8.6 Cup, except for the tires. He's rocking these Yokohama Advan V601s, 225 section width, which is not the Champero SX2s that they run in 8.6 Cup. We've got a Corsa exhaust, but the thing that I am most interested in testing today would be the Perrin steering lockdowns, because the steering is one of the issues that I had with this vehicle. And a few of you, my viewers, have actually commented in previous videos to say, hey Kevin, you got to try this, it's going to help improve the steering. Let's see if it does. Familiar cabin. I will say though, the Premium with the Alcantara, you know, nice little touches, it does feel quite a bit nicer. He also added these carbon fiber trim pieces, and of course the Premium have heated seats, which is nice. Gonna go into traction off mode. The gauge changes. The seating position here is actually really good. You can telescope the wheel sufficiently. It's these little things that we take for granted, but they make a big difference. These are rated at around 228 horsepower. The first gen was 200, but from dyno testing, it looks like the second gen is actually making 40 to 50 more horsepower than the first gen. The torque dip, mostly gone. A very welcome change. Inputs here, they make it so easy to heel toe. The pedal positioning and spacing, the overall placement is just so on point. And I love that how, you know, the way this car comes, even stock, is oversteer friendly, very progressive and easy to control. It's a good training car to improve your driving skill as you want to learn how to handle the car at the limit with oversteer. That's one thing that I actually really valued in mine, both in my FRS, my 2013 FRS, and in my 22 GR86. And other cars in that segment, like the Miata, they're just not as oversteer friendly, not as easy to control once you do hit that limit. So the steering definitely has more feedback with the steering lockdowns. The owner is telling me he feels that it's about 50% between stock to having coilovers because of the spherical bushing top hats. And I can't comment on that, but I will say compared to stock, it is definitely an improvement. And I'm noticing that improvement primarily with the feedback. The turn-in is a little bit sharper too, but I'd say more noticeable with the feedback. If I'm being honest, I don't love these brakes though. They require a bit more force than you would expect to get the degree of bite and slowdown that you're wanting. Wow, even low speed stuff like that, you're getting rotation so easily with this car, which I love. But if you guys have seen my other videos, I complain about this like stickiness right around center on the steering rack, and you still detect a bit of that. I'm not sure what Toyota has done with the second gen versus the first gen. The first gen never had that issue. gotta remember too, with McPherson's strut, front suspension, and only getting 1.5 degrees of negative camber, you do give way to understeer pretty readily in this car. That was one of the issues I had with this, especially on track. But if you dance with it just right, it'll rotate and bring that rear end for you right around, getting to that rotation point where you're not needing a counter steer, but you're steering the car a bit with throttle. That rotation point is easier to get stock in this vehicle than just about any other car I've driven. I mean, there are other cars that do that better, but they're all modified. But even stock, this car allows you to get to that rotation point so easily and so readily. And it's not just the tires, because this has much stickier tires, and we're still able to get there. I think the owner still has the active sound in the cabin, which I actually unplugged in my vehicle because I'm not the biggest fan. But you guys tell me what you think of the exhaust. I think it's alright. I think it's a nice touch, make it a little bit more sporty. Owner does track this as well. But Toyota and Subaru did these two vehicles, the GR86 and the BRZ. They did it right, man. That low center of gravity allows you to have such good body control at a relatively, I'm not gonna say super compliant, but not as harsh of a suspension setup as you would otherwise expect with a higher center of gravity. They kept the weight low. It is a little bit heavier than first gen, but it's still, what, 2,800 pounds, which is very light by modern standards. And now with that power to weight ratio, this car doesn't feel slow anymore. A lot of people used to rag on the first gen for the engine, and the engine here, the torque dip and the power is no longer the issue. I think the issue people have today is more with the sound, because it does sound like a garbage disposal as you get, what, 5, 6K. Let's do a pull right here. All right. Shift beep and shift light is all the way at 7,000 when the red line is actually 7,400, so we short shifted a little bit there. I like to keep mine right around 72, 73 personally. But yeah, such a great car. I do think that I really cherish the time I had with this platform. It is such a great all-around vehicle. It is shockingly practical, far more than you would expect. I have moved between apartments many times in my first gen, and my second gen was my daily for several months until I got my CX-50. I think what the owner did here by, you know, these choice modifications has really improved the driver experience. It's already such a good foundation to build from. And addressing the steering, which was one of my biggest complaints with my vehicle. Very, very welcome change. And he tracks this thing, which I love. And that's what these cars are made for. Well, I mean, cue the comments about the engine reliability issues. I do still think that at the price point and for the right person, generally speaking, you know, younger guy that only has room for one vehicle, there is no better car than the GR86. And driving this today has just reaffirmed that. My friends, let me know what you think of the 2022 Toyota GR86 with a comment down below. Big thanks to Nalan, the owner, for letting me review his vehicle. Visit us on Jubbal and Cars if you'd like your car reviewed. Big thanks to Fenton's son from the Zygreen YouTube channel for making this review possible. Much love, my friends, and I'll see you all in that next one.